In a devastating escalation of violence, Israeli airstrikes in central Beirut have resulted in the deaths of at least 9 individuals, including 6 confirmed fatalities from a targeted attack on a medical facility. This incident marks one of the most significant military actions within the Lebanese capital during the ongoing conflict, which has already claimed thousands of lives across the region. The strikes come amid heightened tensions following Iran's missile barrage into Israel and ongoing confrontations between Israeli forces and Hezbollah, raising alarms about the potential for further violence and instability in the region. Details of the attack. The Israeli airstrikes occurred early Thursday morning, targeting a multi-story building in the Bachura neighborhood that housed a health facility linked to Hezbollah. Eyewitnesses reported hearing missiles overhead before the blasts rocked the area, engulfing nearby structures in flames and causing panic among residents. Footage from the scene captured the chaotic aftermath as people fled on scooters and in vehicles. Desperate to escape the destruction, the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, confirmed that they were conducting operations aimed at what they described as terrorist infrastructure associated with Hezbollah. The strike on the medical facility is particularly notable as it is one of the first to occur so close to Beirut's downtown area, raising concerns about civilian safety and potential violations of international law. The IDF stated that their operations are necessary to neutralize threats posed by Hezbollah, which they accuse of using civilian infrastructure for military purposes.
Did you know you can easily earn extra income? No experience or big investments needed? Discover how in the link in the description. Don't miss this opportunity.
The humanitarian impact. The recent airstrikes have exacerbated an already dire humanitarian situation in Lebanon, where healthcare professionals have warned of an apocalyptic crisis unfolding. With approximately 1 million people displaced and many seeking refuge on the streets of Beirut, the attacks have left medical personnel overwhelmed and struggling to provide care amidst ongoing violence. Lebanese health officials reported that in addition to the 9 deaths from the latest strikes, at least 46 individuals had died from Israeli assaults across the country within the previous 24 hours. The toll includes paramedics and other healthcare workers who have been increasingly targeted during this conflict, raising alarms among international human rights organizations regarding the legality of such actions. Hospitals are facing shortages of essential supplies and medical personnel, making it increasingly difficult to treat those injured in the strikes. Regional reactions and international concerns. The escalation of violence has drawn sharp reactions both regionally and internationally. Iranian officials condemned the strikes as acts of aggression and vowed to support Hezbollah in its defense against Israeli operations. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian stated that while Iran does not seek war with Israel, it stands ready to defend its allies. This rhetoric underscores Iran's commitment to supporting Hezbollah and could signal a further escalation if tensions continue to rise. In response to these developments, U.S. President Joe Biden has reiterated his administration's commitment to Israel's right to defend itself while also emphasizing the importance of protecting civilian lives. Biden's remarks come amid calls for restraint from various international leaders who fear that continued military actions could lead to a broader regional conflict. The United Nations has called for an immediate ceasefire and urged all parties to respect international humanitarian law. The broader context. This latest round of violence follows a series of confrontations between Israel and Hezbollah, which have intensified since Iran launched over 180 missiles into Israel earlier this week. The IDF has reported significant casualties among its forces during ground engagements with Hezbollah fighters, marking some of their deadliest encounters in recent months. The ongoing conflict has raised concerns about a potential spillover effect that could draw in other regional players. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has characterized these military operations as necessary measures against what he refers to as Iran's axis of evil, asserting that Israel will continue its efforts to dismantle Hezbollah's capabilities. However, this approach raises concerns about further civilian casualties and humanitarian crises within Lebanon. Analysts warn that prolonged military engagement could destabilize Lebanon further and lead to a humanitarian disaster. Calls for international intervention. As violence escalates, there are increasing calls for international intervention to address both the immediate humanitarian needs and the underlying political issues fueling this conflict. Humanitarian organizations are urging countries around the world to provide emergency aid to those affected by the strikes while advocating for diplomatic solutions that prioritize peace over military action. The international community must also consider how best to engage with both Israel and Hezbollah in order to de-escalate tensions and prevent further loss of life. Diplomatic efforts must focus on dialogue and negotiation rather than military confrontation if there is any hope for lasting peace in the region. A call for peace. As tensions escalate and violence continues to claim innocent lives, It is imperative for all parties involved to prioritize dialogue and seek peaceful resolutions to this ongoing conflict. The tragic loss of life in Beirut underscores the urgent need for international intervention and support for humanitarian efforts in Lebanon. Thank you for following this critical update on the situation in Beirut following Israeli airstrikes. Stay tuned for more insights as we continue to monitor this evolving story. Don't forget to subscribe for updates on international relations and humanitarian issues. You won't want to miss what happens next. Your engagement helps us provide timely information on events that shape our world today.